Welcome to another edition of The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to do something I absolutely love. We're going to discover some incredible, totally deliberate engineering that is hiding right in plain sight. Often, the objects we interact with every single day, well, they're the ones we think about the least. But today, we're going to slow things right down, look really closely, and uncover the fascinating mechanics behind a perfectly ordinary kitchen tool. It's a question that probably hasn't crossed your mind while you're just trying to prep dinner. How much engineering actually goes into a single kitchen slice? I mean, we tend to view our culinary tools as, just basic shapes of plastic and metal. But today, we're setting up a full forensic breakdown of a seemingly mundane kitchen gadget. And trust me, by the end of this explainer, you are going to see your utensil drawer in a completely different light. Okay, let's dive into this beautifully suspended moment just before the chop. Notice the setup here. We have this sterile, clean background that really isolates our subject, which is resting on a nice, natural wooden cutting board. We are witnessing an action completely frozen in time. It's capturing all of that potential energy right before it explodes into kinetic energy. It's a beautifully simple yet highly tension-filled frame. Section 1. Anatomy of a dicer. Breaking down the components. Just look at the distinct materials we're working with here. The contrast is fantastic. We've got industrial materials, a brown plastic upper casing, a matching brown plastic lower receptacle, and a highly engineered metal blade matrix. But then these are directly interacting with organic materials, like the beautiful wooden cutting board base, the yellow flesh produce waiting inside, and of course, the human hand, which is acting as the ultimate power source for the whole shebang. It's this perfect meeting of the manufactured and the natural. Let's break this tool down by comparing the two halves of the device. On one hand, we've got the top unit. Think of this as the active unit. It houses the sharp grid, and it's directly held, guided, and powered by the user. It's all about motion and force. Then, on the other hand, we have the bottom unit. This one is entirely passive and receptive. Its primary job is simply resting stably on the wooden board and bracing for the impact. It's basically a classic hammer and anvil relationship, just modernized for your vegetables. Section 2, the grid of blades, the matrix of destruction. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this is where the magic happens. Draw your eyes specifically to the square spacing of the intersecting metal grid inside that top housing. Those blades, they aren't just thrown in there randomly. No, they are tensioned, perfectly spaced, and woven together to create a rigid, sharp wall of geometry. In industrial design, there's a saying, form dictates the function, and in this case, the final shape of the food. This square metal matrix is quite literally an architectural marvel in miniature. It's specifically engineered to force whatever irregular organic item is sitting down there in the base into a perfectly uniform, predictable geometric shape. It essentially takes the chaos of nature and imposes strict, mathematically perfect order on it, and it does it in a fraction of a second. Section 3. Ergonomics and user grip, the human element. Notice exactly how the left hand grips the curved plastic top. See how the thumb rests firmly on the flattened side panel? That provides lateral stability, while the fingers wrap securely right over the curved domed top. This housing was built specifically, and I mean highly intentionally, to channel human force. And this brings us to ergonomics. We know this field is all about user efficiency and comfort, which perfectly explains why the top housing isn't just some flat square box. I mean, think about it. A flat box would absolutely hurt your hand when you push down hard, right? Instead, it features a deliberate contoured grip. This specific shape maximizes your downward pressure while keeping your hand entirely comfortable and, most importantly, safely away from those sharp blades. Section 4. The holding receptacle, the passive receiver. Take a look at the scalloped base containing the yellow produce. We've got what looks like a peeled potato or an apple waiting patiently inside. But really look at the brown plastic base unit itself. Notice those deep U-shaped cutouts on the sides? It gives the whole base the look of a tiny plastic castle turret. Now, those specific side cutouts are absolutely not just decorative. Those scalloped edges are actually highly engineered clearance zones. They're designed to allow the top half of the dicer to slide down seamlessly around the food. As the top comes down, its walls slide right into those U-shaped gaps, perfectly aligning the blades at the target before any cutting even begins. It is literally a built-in guidance system. So, we've got the aligned base, the sharp grid, and the ergonomic grip. It all begs one absolutely crucial question. What exactly happens when massive downward force meets the grid?
Section 5, Mechanics of the Chop, the implied collision. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact sequence of operations that turns this static, quiet image into a moment of kinetic, destructive motion. Step 1, place the food in the base receptacle. Step 2, align the top grid right over those engineered scalloped edges we just talked about. Step 3, apply severe downward pressure to force that rigid grid completely through the food.
This single frame summarizes the climax of the action perfectly. We are looking at the impending intersection of the metal grid, the organic food, and the plastic base. This is that exact breathless moment when the sharp grid relies entirely on human force to overcome the organic cellular resistance of the produce. It is, quite literally, a tiny, localized physics experiment happening right there on your cutting board.
Let's move to our final slide and see how this builds a larger perspective on the world around us. If a simple, cheap plastic dicer holds this much deliberate, thoughtful engineering, from blade matrices to ergonomic channeling to physical guidance systems, what secrets are hiding in the rest of your kitchen? Everyday objects are absolute masterclasses in design, just waiting for someone to stop and look closely. Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and hey, I highly encourage you to go explore the engineering hidden in your own home.